here it is, finally, after so long. The wait is over. Here is the BlackBerry Z10, or Z10 for all of you Americans out there. This is the final product. It's what's going to come to market in the coming days. All over the world, on multiple carriers. This is a huge rollout for RIM, and this is the company's first flagship phone since 2011. Now, this is just going to be a quick hardware overview. We'll take a look at the software in a separate video. First of all, you can see that this is very different from any BlackBerry you've ever seen. Obviously, there's no hardware keyboard, but beyond that, the style, the design is very new. It does look a little bit like the Dev A and Dev B devices. Obviously, the hardware is similar. Those were devices that were meant to keep the same idea of the Z10, but without the obvious, giving away that obvious unique design. So what we have here are symmetrical top and bottoms. This comes in black and white. This is more of a slate than an actual dark deep black, and it looks a little bit lighter on film than it does in person, but it's actually quite a nice contrast and something that I really enjoy. You can see that the headpiece is over here. It's got little tiny holes in it. It's very, very understated, really nice. If you take a look at that, you can see it's not an OLED display. It's actually an LCD display. The resolution is 1280 by 768, so it's a little bit different ratio than what we are used to. But it's a really nice display. I'll show you that in a minute. You have a front-facing camera here in the front. You also have an auto brightness adjustment sensor as well. You have a little mouthpiece at the bottom here, and just above it is the BlackBerry logo that we're very well acquainted with. On the left-hand side, we have the micro USB port, which doubles as both a data and charging port, and we have a micro HDMI cable, which you can use to hook up to a projector. You can hook up to a TV, very much like the Playbook. In fact, this is just a very small Playbook if you want to look at it like this, although this is much, much more advanced. The BlackBerry 10 OS is far, far beyond what we've seen on the BlackBerry Playbook tablet. So moving along, on the bottom we have the speaker grill. The speaker on this is actually quite nice, and the sound is excellent from the mono speaker. On the right side we have volume rocker, and what we saw in the Playbook as well is a little play pause button that doubles as a an assistant, voice assistant button. So if you hold that down, you'll actually get this voice assistant mode. You can even turn it on when the screen is off. And you can see text is really, really clear. That's really high resolution screen. It's about 360 pixels per inch, a little bit higher than the BlackBerry, than the iPhone 5, but not quite as high as those 1080p screens that we're used to. So keeping on around the device, you can see there the color on the side here is the same as the front and back, and it's actually one piece of plastic. If you look all the way around, it just keeps on going. So it's really rigid and sturdy, and it feels very, very well made, even though it's quite a light device. But this does have a removable battery cover, and like the Galaxy S3 or any of these other kind of plastic-made devices, it is a little bit flimsy, but it's more rigid than what you'd find on the Galaxy S3, and I really like it. You can see the NFC chips over here, which are not built into the battery, so you can actually remove the battery, not lose NFC, although obviously you still need the battery. This is a brand new battery here. It's an 1800 milliamp hour removable battery. This will come with an accessory that allows for multiple charging. The FUD doesn't come in the box, but it will be available to purchase separately. There is a micro SIM in here as well, and a micro SD slot for expandable storage up to 32 gigabytes. This comes with 16 gigs of RAM, of internal storage, and 2 gigs of RAM. It's got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 processor, so not quite the fastest on the market, but BlackBerry 10 has been heavily optimized. I really never noticed any slowdown at all, and you can see that back cover just snaps right into place, and there you go. So you really don't know that it's not a removable battery cover, but it's a great convenience when you need to replace a battery in an emergency. Now, the 8 megapixel camera here is also quite good. It's very, very fast, and you can get to it from the home screen. Now, let's just continue our tour, and I'll give you a quick look at the camera software. On the top of the device, in a kind of awkward position, is the power button. Now when I say awkward position, it's because you actually have to reach your finger around to turn it on. Now it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but the 4.2-inch display is quite tall, and I would much prefer it on one side. But the other thing about that is that it's not, if you have it on one side or the other, it doesn't help the lefties in the world. So if you have it on the right side, like the iPhone 5 for example, it doesn't allow for easy use when you're holding it in your left hand, and vice versa. So in the middle is a nice compromise, but again, I'd prefer to see it on the right side. It's just a bias I have, since I'm one of the 96% of people in the world who are right-handed. Moving along, the headphone jack is on the top, and there's a second microphone for noise cancellation. Now this sounds great if you plug in a pair of headphones. Really, really great sound. And with the play pause button, you can also use that to turn on and off your music while it's in your pocket. Now let's turn on the device really quickly. Again, there's going to be a separate software overview, but just to take a look at the things that you can see on the home screen. You can see the time and the date. You also see your connectivity, for example, and you see your next event. You also see any notifications that you have. Over here we have one email, we have a Facebook message, a few tweets, and a BBM that's outstanding. And on the bottom here you also see this little camera button that I'm going to hold down, and it actually takes a second to open up just to make sure that you're not going to actually accidentally get into it. But once you're in, you'll notice that it's quite quick. So what I have here is the BlackBerry 10 holster case that comes with it. And you can see just how quickly it takes photos. Now that's really, really fast, and this 8 megapixel camera takes fantastic photos. It also has some great editing features as well, which we'll show you in the software overview. So let's take a look at the phone compared to other popular devices on the market. First of all, we have it next to the Nexus 4. You can see that the Nexus 4 is a little bit taller, it's a little bit wider, but not that much considering that the BlackBerry 10 has, the Z10 rather, has a 4.2-inch display, and this has a 4.7-inch display. Now that's due to the fact that the bezel on the BlackBerry Z10 is a little bit bigger than the Nexus 7. But overall, the BlackBerry Z10 is not an uncomfortable device to hold in the hand. You can see the difference here. It's actually, the Z10 is a little bit taller if you take a look at it on the back. So that was my mistake. It's quite deceptive because I'm looking at it from a little bit of a non-ideal angle here. But overall, it's a little bit thicker than the Nexus 4, but not by much. And if we look at the iPhone 5, you can see that the 4.2-inch device is quite a bit bigger than the iPhone 5. If we turn it over, you can see my garish ID America case here. If we look at, if we look at thickness, you can see the iPhone 5 is a little bit thinner, but not by much. So overall, the BlackBerry Z10 is not the most unique device. It looks very good, but it's kind of nondescript. It just looks like a really nice square or rectangular smartphone. But when you turn it on, when you actually engage with it and give it a bit of time, it really feels like RIM has gone to the trouble of making just an attractive utilitarian phone that gets everything done really nicely, but doesn't stand out in many ways. It's just a really nice phone. Now, we're going to look at the white phone in a future segment, so maybe that'll kind of turn the tides on the look department, but overall, the Z10 is just a really nice looking functional device. You can see that BlackBerry logo here, but nothing else. And thankfully, even this one being a Rogers version, there's no carrier branding anywhere on the phone, which is a first for BlackBerry. So this has been a quick look at the hardware of the BlackBerry Z10 coming very soon to your carrier. And check back here soon for the software overview.